I'm excited to share Bill as an exclusive sponsor of the Thrivecast. They have been sponsoring the Thrivecast for so long. Thank you, Bill. Our firm has been using Bill for over a decade now. We actually use it in all of our foundational CFO and controllership engagements. We have to turn all of our clients' financial processes digital, and we do that with Bill. And you can check out some webinars and blogs and even toolkits that I build with Bill to help in your firm. So thank you, Bill, for being a sponsor of the Thrivecast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another podcast episode of the Thrivecast. This is exciting. We bring a lot of people on the show that really can teach us how to run our firms better, how to actually be part of this profession. And I'm really pumped to bring Jackie Meyer onto the show, but I actually want to say I'm excited to bring Dr. Jackie Meyer onto the show, which is super cool to say. So she's got a lot of accolades. 40 under 40. She started her own firm, Meyer Tax Consulting, has her own SaaS product, Tax Plan IQ, has been in the AICPA Accelerator. She's also a coach. Does a lot to help CPAs actually become certified coaches around tax planning. So busy, and she travels 1 month of the year with her family. So a lot going on. So Dr. Jackie Meyer, thanks for coming on the Thrivecast.
Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to it.
Very cool. So I think I've been following your journey, and this is the month that you were in Costa Rica. So you took a month off to go to Costa Rica with your family, right?
I did, yeah.
And you do that every year now?
Yes. We set a goal. My husband and I set a goal about 4 years ago. We had some friends that traveled an entire summer, and I'm like, I want to do that. So my husband's worked at Fidelity Investments for over 20 years. He took a different role so that he could take a month sabbatical every year. And I rearranged my calendar, and I time block, every day. I'm very detail oriented, so I make sure and get my time off.
Very cool. Well, that's the cool thing about when you run your own deal, you can kind of, I think I will just take a month off every summer, which is really pretty cool. Now, I was watching your journey online. You were in Costa Rica. I think you also, that's where you said my doctorate is, no, at first you said, I've turned it in, and then you said, I got it. I think while you were in Costa Rica, and I was like,
yes.
She got it.
Yes, it was like within a week. I turned it in to the head chair at Regent University, which is where I got my doctorate in leadership. And I received a call, which I don't normally answer my calls. If you know me and you call me, my voicemail literally says, do not leave me a message. I will not answer it. But I had been texting with Dr. Patterson, and so I knew it was her. And I pick up the phone, and she says, Jackie, I want to be the first person to congratulate you on being a doctor. And I was literally sitting in the Liberia, Costa Rica airport about to plane to come home. So I was very excited. Yeah.
That is so cool. Well, congratulations, Dr. Jackie Meyer. That is really cool.
Thank you very much.
So I want to ask a little bit more about that in a little bit. But I'm really interested in something you went through, the AICPA Accelerator. I think that's the name of it.
It is.
And they basically, I guess, incubate SaaS products for the profession. And I'm curious. So you have a product, Tax Plan IQ, which is well known, and you're building that out. Can we just talk about the AICPA Accelerator? Did you apply to get in? How long has that thing been running? Those kind of things I'm really interested in.
For sure. I don't know exactly how long it's been running. I want to say probably around 4 years, but I was in the 2023 cohort. And so they picked about 8 to 10 companies around particular concepts. So of course, AI is huge right now. The cohort this year is all about AI. Last year, it was kind of a combination of like ESG/AI concerns. And that's the one that I got in. And yes, you apply. So every year they put you through an application process. You get interviewed by some of the top thought leaders that are on a panel that help pick who goes in this cohort. And you get a scholarship too, a small stipend. It was about $25 $20,000 or $20,000. So that always helps too. So it was win-win for us. It gets your name out there to more people. And you say that Tax Plan IQ is well known, but honestly, we could be a lot more well known. We really need to get the name out there more. And so that was a great way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think Tax Plan IQ is kind of at the forefront with a number of products in our profession that are doing more of that strategic related tax planning. And I've been doing this a long time. You have too. And the way we did taxes and tax planning, we start with spreadsheets and we're like, let's see, how else could they save money? And that's kind of crazy, right? The tax code is pretty massive. So I guess there may be people that don't really know, why do I need a product solely dedicated to this strategic tax planning? If they're like, my tax software kind of does a little bit of that, or I have a pretty cool spreadsheet I use. Why do you start to need a product to do this?
Oh man, there's so many aspects of the product that every day I'm like, how did I do this before? Especially, we just released this last week. We released this kind of third huge iteration of Tax Plan IQ, where we're automatically suggesting 33 tax strategies off of fields on someone's 1040. And that came straight from Dr. Jackie's head to an Excel spreadsheet, to JavaScript or JScript translation, to whatever they do on the programming side, right? And so I had to figure out those if-then formulas of how we think through, why do we suggest strategies, right? Because we think that there's a lot of gut feel in it, but honestly, it's pretty logical at the end of the day. You just have to know. Right. And most people don't have the knowledge or experience to know every tax strategy. We have 130 plus in the software. There's still plenty more. Today, we were talking about a leaseback strategy that I don't have in the software. That's a cool one with our users. So there's so much education, so much to know. The community aspect is so amazing. And then being able to visualize the savings for the client and use what I've created as the ROI method of value pricing, it really just helps sell tax planning for people up front and allows them to implement and track everything on the back end. So it does it all pretty much. Yeah.
Really, if you dive into this kind of work, it really can become a pretty high value and high priced service. And it's really cool because if you use a tool, it starts, it shows the client, $53,000, $693 is going away, and it's like you can really price the heck out of that stuff.
Exactly. We see 3 to 5 times higher pricing per client on tax planning alone, which is a drastic change. I mean, imagine. Well, Jason, I mean, it solves all the problems that we have in our profession if you're able to price that high and have super happy clients because of the results that you're bringing to the table.
Yeah. I mean, basically what you're saying is pricing is a key to really fund our firms better. When we, old school methodologies really do, it hinders a lot of the ways we can make money. But when you're pretty strategic up front to price, you can obviously fund your firm better and actually hire people and things like that. So why did you think you needed to create a product to do tax planning strategy? I know you've been doing taxes for a long time. Was it to solve your own issues?
Partly, I think I always wanted to create a software. I thought it would be cool, although I should have done it a long time ago because honestly, a year into having a software product, it's worth way more than a CPA firm. Although some of these, valuations are coming in higher these days with accounting firms. But I just kind of dreamed of creating it. And then I wanted to bring together and standardize processes that were just coming out of our heads and in spreadsheets and taking up a lot of time. I had kind of mastered the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week in my own CPA firm based on what we were doing with all these concepts we brought into Tax Plan IQ. And I really just wanted to turn around and actually just help the profession. I wanted to be a psychologist growing up, and then I veered away from it because I met some pretty nutty psychologists and went into business, the secure method of life, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to help people. And this is my way of feeling like I can help others and especially help accountants like have better lives and better firms.
Yeah. Well, can you tell me walk me through kind of what running the SaaS product is like? I mean, you are having to create these formulas so somebody can go build the JavaScript or whatever they're doing to build the product. Like, are you daily working with your developers, or are some of the day you're strategizing about the change of the product? Like, kind of this product roadmap. How do you get this into your calendar? What does that look like?
Well, that's evolved over the years. So pre the software and coaching that I did several masterminds for a few years with accountants over the last since like 2018 through 2023. We just actually retired that with Mr. Chuck Bauer, my co-coach. But I'd gotten down that 4-hour week. So that involved a lot of time blocking, right? You got to make sure that you are doing exactly what you need to do that brings the highest value to the table. Then my calendar exploded again because I added the doctorate, I added the coaching, and I added the software. And software sounds really sexy to be a software developer, and it is not, y'all. It is a lot of freaking work, okay? So, I was just like so bogged down, had no prior experience in this area. And so we were just figuring it out day to day. So it began as this like side fun project, grew so quickly. I had a coaching client who was interested in purchasing my CPA firm. I was able to do that right at a 7-figure mark with only 56 clients, which was great. So I sold my firm in 2022, really redirected all my energy into the software and the growth there. And then, long story short, I realized I'm not the best person to really get this software to the place it needs to be. And so I hired in the beginning of this year a true CEO in my place named Dave Lucas, and he's grown a huge SaaS software companies, and he has taken us to the next level as we go today. So I only work Tuesdays, Thursdays towards Tax Plan IQ, which is like our L10. We practice EOS and our leadership meetings, stuff like that. I am very directly involved in the strategies because for some reason or another, my brain is very quirky in the way that I can pull that all together between the tech side and the strategies. But other than that, we've got a pretty solid team that's running the show. We've got about 14 people, and they're really doing most of the work now, which is awesome.
That's cool. So that allows you to kind of just take the time to think about how to build the product out better, more and more strategies.
Exactly.
Is that what you're going to do? You're going to just always be trying to add more and more strategies to it.
Oh, yeah. This morning I was working on, I've got 13 more that are coming out next week. So we got to keep this thing moving and keep it moving fast. I want to stay ahead of the curve. I want to be modern. I want to be like the best tax advisory software out there. And we're good, but we could be a lot better. And so I'm going to keep working at it.
That's cool. Well, you seem like the person who may not ever be satisfied with where the product
that
is.
is correct.
I'm hearing you and I'm like, I think you're not going to ever reach it, are you?
Yeah, I'm already brainstorming the spin-off idea where
great.
I can bring tax planning directly to any taxpayer and then connect them with tax advisors in our network. That would be so cool.
And then the CEO is going to go, Jackie, can you just slow down?
Yeah. Dave was like, no, we need to focus on stop going squirrel mode and stay on track. But, I don't know. It's just fun. It's all really fun.
Yeah. Well, it's fun when you find out there's some missing value in a profession that you're deeply involved in. And you can actually help a lot of people. And I think this strategic tax planning, I think it's harder for our profession. I think outside the profession, people assume we all do it really well, but that's where we get a lot, as you know, that's where we get a lot of our complaints. It's like, I got the plan. You're telling me what I'm going to owe next April. Can you actually eliminate some of this? And, in those who operate firms like you and we do, those are some of the problems we hear a lot. And, software, tax planning software is actually fairly new for our profession, right? I mean, we've always had it, but it really is just an accumulation summary, if you do the return this way next April, it's going to make them pay this much.
Exactly.
And we
It's
need
probably
something more.
saying like you can do an IRA contribution after the fact,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Or it's doing a projection and not planning. And there's a big difference there, right?
What is that? Okay, just teach us. What's the difference between projection, planning, just so we know?
Yeah. So projection is baseline. Here's what you're going to owe next year. Planning is, like you said, actually reducing that liability ahead of time. And there's so many misnomers within our profession, even with accountants and tax advisors themselves, that you only do planning at year end. That's not true. You can do planning any time of year. In fact, the earlier, the better. Our clients knew every day what they were going to owe that next year, and they knew that we were taking care of it. And so there's like so much more that you can do to really become that like concierge CPA or accountant and really take it to the next level.
That's cool. Does that mean a lot of that work we can sell now? Can we do a lot of that work quarterly around some of the estimated tax payment dates, and that's where we meet with them, show them what we're coming up with? Because a lot of the strategies your product will pull into these plans for us start to help us know how to tell that client to manage their business differently. They have to actually start doing different things, and we might get to stay closer to them. Is that kind of how that plan would work?
Yeah, exactly. So to go with like a specific example and think about a projection versus planning, et cetera, and the times a year, you saying, hey, you have a loss on this real estate last year. Did you qualify as a real estate professional? That's more like just after the fact, little bit of planning, right? Baseline stuff. It's the year that they're in the endeavor that you're saying, hey, how many hours are you putting towards this real estate activity? Because if you can get to 750, which is about 14 hours a week, you could qualify as a real estate professional. Let's get you there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Okay. So now, I mean, here we are, we're a CPA, we're helping them manage their calendar differently. We're saying,
exactly.
Move a lot, let's move a lot of your, the way you do things into a 14-hour work week. Block that out even, right? Because that's proof to the IRS actually that you actually are committed to that real estate activity. And so that's such deep advisory. And are we charging enough for that? I'm guessing you're going to say no.
Not at all.
Like it's a joke, kind of what we charge. Like what are some of the things you learned about pricing for that, or what the profession has done and changes you've made so we can make more money with these strategies?
Yeah. I've had so much resistance to value pricing from within the profession. Good news, the AICPA is actually recognizing, and we're trying to work together to actually get this ROI method out there, because people are just like, oh, that's a contingent fee. No, it's not. Or that's a percentage pricing. No, it's not. So we've addressed all these issues. There's no problem with value pricing up front. I've got a formula. It's baked into my software, actually. It'll give you pricing for you. But it's a combination of the risk involved, complexity involved, lateness or timeliness of the work that has to be done, things like that, and it'll come up with that price. But people are way undercharging, and it's so detrimental to the firm to do that.
Okay, yeah. Well, can you? I mean, you kind of just ran through the ROI method. Is there more to it that you could share with us? Like,
yeah.
How is it now? And does the product calculate that, or are you saying no? That's just how you price your services. This ROI method.
So the product does calculate that, and I'm in talks with the AICPA to actually release a free version of that value pricing tool to all of their members, which would be really exciting.
Wow.
Yeah. But they go at a little bit of a snail's pace. So what I wanted done yesterday is going to be like 2 years from now.
Well, they're big. This is a big organization.
Right. It's a big organization. It's corporate life, right? But what I do, the formula is pretty straightforward. I add up all of the tax savings involved. I take about half of that, and then I adjust that down for if it's easy to do, if there's no risk involved, if there's plenty of time to do it, et cetera. It's a weighted average of all of those factors. that's adjusting the pricing around it.
I see. Okay. So return on investment has a lot to do with what am I going to have to do as the professional now to get them that savings, and maybe what does the client have to change about their life for them to get that savings? Some it's easier, some they have a lot more time commitments, and you're going to change the price based upon that.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of factors involved, but it's actually a pretty straightforward weighted average formula. The AICPA themselves has a value pricing guide that goes through those same kind of factors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you think about like percentage of savings is starting out with the price?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think about it like this. If I set the price is $5,000 and the savings is $25,000, it's always going to be a percentage, right? So, I mean, everything correlates back to a percentage, but we're not actually basing it on that percentage. We're having a starting point that's logical of like, hey, I'm not going to do these strategies unless I can actually get an ROI, right? So that's where you're starting from.
Yeah.
And then you're adjusting for those other factors that really make it value pricing.
Yeah, because at the end of this ROI method, it is a fixed price, right? It just helps you get to it, and then it's like it's not contingent on the.
No, it's not contingent on what actually happens. Obviously, you can offer a guarantee for their satisfaction. You can't guarantee the savings. I never did, but I did guarantee their satisfaction. I think maybe one client out of hundreds that, something happened, they went bankrupt. We couldn't follow through the strategies. And so I gave them a refund. But I mean, other than that, you're going to make it right as the accountant. You're going to do what you say you're going to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So Jackie, we just pitched some tax planning strategy client. So I'm going to get you to coach me.
Yes. Love it.
Okay. So here's what we told them. We said we're going to kick off with you, right? We're going to do a kickoff meeting. We're going to introduce you to your team. Then we're going to review past 2 years' returns, past 2 years' P&Ls. Then we're going to go through an interview questionnaire kind of thing with the stakeholders and some of the team that are kind of running some of the financial stuff. And then we're going to produce some strategies and we're going to show it to you. And then you're going to give feedback to the strategy too. And then we're going to go back and see if there's anything we need to tweak. And then we're going to, do your S Corp and do your individual. And we're doing it now. So we're going to calculate their last January 15th, tax calculation too. And so it's just a project, that starts now, goes through tax season. Did I do that okay? What else should I have added?
Well, here's the question. How did you price it?
We came up with it's like $7,500. We didn't made in a few different payments. Now, we don't know anything about their savings.
Yeah.
And so now, should I have done some work to know their savings in Tax Plan IQ first? Because that's what's going to drive what I could have priced it to be.
Exactly. So your ROI, there's a proposal in Tax Plan IQ that shows that ROI. And it actually, once you've done it a few times as an experienced practitioner, it takes less than 15 minutes to come up with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands in savings for these people. And so if you're like, wow, okay, I just spent 15 minutes on this. Of course, I haven't charged the client yet. You could charge that initial meeting fee if you'd like. Some people do that. I didn't. I worked with high net wealth though, and so I could come up with big savings really fast. And then I would pitch it. I would show them the proposal. I would not get into the details of the strategies. And then I would say, hey, here's the implementation fee. So let's say I could save them $100K a year. Their implementation fee would be $25, $30K. In that example. And then ongoing fees would probably be around the $12,000 a year mark, including their quarterly estimates, managing all the strategies that are in that particular engagement. That's key. You don't want to go out of scope. And then every year you actually go back and revisit what you did. What did we think was going to happen? What actually happened? You show them that visual. And if you want to nip any billing questions in the bud, that's the way to do it. They are so happy with the results. And if you don't get the results, then you need to figure out how to make it right.
Yeah, right, for sure. So, I mean, it's easy to kind of do the return. After you've done some planning, do the return, then compare it to the year they did the
Exactly.
return without you and go, obviously there's a $150,000 difference you paid last year compared to now. So you're not,
Right.
they're obviously not sad about paying you 25 grand.
No, not at all. They're extremely happy. And so it's this like amazing win-win cycle between you and the client, because at the end of the day, they're netting more cash in their pocket. You're managing things and holding them accountable and essentially babysitting them, right? Which they need that. This stuff is difficult for them, right?
Well, and I think that's part of what we haven't done as a profession, right? We're like, I'll do planning. And of course, our profession, anything around tax, we don't serve well. And so that's part of our problem. So we're just kicking these plans out and emailing these things out to people going.
Yeah, you can't do that either.
No.
If you want someone to run for the hills, email them a $25,000 proposal, okay?
So, well, we're learning, this is, I think, there's some different generations that would do it differently. But basically the point is when you're doing the kind of.
I did it. I've done that myself. I would love to email out everything and not have a meeting with somebody. And then it was Chuck Bauer, my mentor, that's like, you have to be looking eye to eye with these people on a Zoom at least,
Well, and that's part of our profession, part of our problem as a profession. We have so much tax. We're moving so fast. We don't stop and do high level service related things like meet in person, look at them, say, do you have any questions? These are parts of the ways that we prove our value, I guess, and prove, that they should be paying us 25 grand, in a fee to save them. So you kind of anecdotally said 25 to 30 grand on 100 grand savings. Is it about 25, 30% that you want to pull in a price maybe to start out with?
I don't use a like 25, 30%, but I do use kind of that ROI. I want to make sure I get a minimum ROI to the client of about 200% plus immediately. I've had users and coaching firms that work with startups, for example, and they can't necessarily find that big of an ROI, but they'll do about 100% immediate ROI. And then they can actually grow that and do different phases of planning in the future.
Okay. Makes sense. Cool. Okay. So I may have more questions, but let's go to a quick sponsor break and we'll be right back with Dr. Jackie Meyer. Are you tired of grappling with inventory management complexities? Designed for QuickBooks Online, SOS Inventory ensures seamless synchronization of precise tracking of inventory at all stages, empowering you with unparalleled accuracy. So with integration spanning Shopify, UPS, BigCommerce, PayPal, and more, SOS Inventory can streamline your processes effortlessly. So join the global network of satisfied users spanning 60-plus countries now. Begin your risk-free 2-week trial today at live.sosinventory.com/trial. And don't forget to use promo code THRIVE for a 10% discount on your first 6 months of subscription service. Explore the wide selection of features at sosinventory.com and revolutionize your accounting practice. Okay, we're back. Jackie, let me ask you this. We were pitching this strategy plan to a client, and great client, and they're like, are you an enrolled agent or a CPA? And of course, we all know in our profession, all of us can do all of this work. But are there outside perceptions of these different licenses that we would want to get or keep, or I don't know. What do you think about EA, CPA, accountants, tax strategists?
Oh man, that's a loaded topic. So as a CPA myself, I value it immensely. I think it's gotten me to a great place now. My concern is the future of our profession, because as you just indicated, to be a tax advisor, you don't need any of those credentials at the moment, right? In fact, audit is really the only thing that we're like hanging on a string with that still really requires that CPA designation. And so I worry about our designations and I worry about the future of our profession. I really want our governing bodies to put parameters and definitions around these services and actually provide tax advisory certificates And I've offered my own free time to help them do these things. But of course, it doesn't happen. So it needs to be done, or else I think it's going to really dilute the profession. People aren't going to want to be a CPA or EA. They're just going to go straight into like advisory. And I think you can do that, but it's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, because advisory is a label. It's so broad. It can mean a million different things.
Yeah.
And of course, what we need, the value of our licensure to the outside the profession is for clarity. We want things to be so clearly known that we can price appropriately for the value that we're perceived as.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Very cool. Okay. So I want to shift topics a little bit from tax planning. And I would love for you to kind of walk us through, because we're big, my partner and I do a lot of calendar blocking. That's a big part of the methodology that we teach our Thrival members. You're busy. So family, we talked about it, SaaS startup, you're getting your doctorate, running a business, coaching. So you kind of alluded to some of this, but how do you do your calendar to get all of this done? I mean, it sounds like it's not doable, but it is.
Really?
Well, it's like, this is a lot of stuff. Oh, we didn't mention this. A book, right?
Oh, yeah. I've been writing a book.
See, you forgot. What the heck, Jackie? You're like, oh, yeah, there's the book I wrote.
No, I haven't forgotten. I want to do traditional publishing with this bad boy. I'm excited about it. It's called the Balance Sheet of Life Formula. I found a way to measure holistic success between personal and business endeavors. I am like super jazzed about it. And we're measuring assets and liabilities and retained earnings, which ends up being your peace. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Accountants can get that. It's like, I can see how you can measure life around the balance sheet.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've already done a couple workshops with accountants and they've really embraced it. This book is actually for any entrepreneur though, especially like white collar service offering types. So it'll be interesting to kind of expand my audience outside of just accountants to see if I can help more people. But yeah, I'm looking for a literary agent and figuring out how to do all that right now. So yeah, it's a day-to-day endeavor. But at the end of the day, honestly, it is all about time blocking, like you said. That's how I get it all done. You take your entire week, you figure out the top things you have to do and the hours that it requires. If it goes over the, let's say 40 hours that you want to work or 20 hours you want to work, well, that math doesn't work, right? So you have to delegate or elevate other people to do some of that work. And if it does fit in, then you just start backing into, okay, I have to spend 5 hours a week on my book. What are the days and times that I'll be the most fresh for that, right? Maybe it's Tuesday, Thursday mornings. I group all of my appointments together. Appointments drain me. I'm a serious introvert, but I get really passionate about things. And that's why people think I'm an extrovert. So meetings are super draining. I'm typically wearing like swim clothes at my home office here. And then I just throw on this blazer and I'm like all set, right? But yeah, I mean, there's all these little hacks I do to have a faster work day and to get it all in there.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so a lot of things you said that make sense. The first thing you got to do when people ask us, how do I get more done? It sounds like you would say, well, how much do you want to work, right? What are we working with? What part of your calendar are you going to give up to work? And maybe it's not give up, but it's basically saying, what do you want to commit to work?
Right.
And for you, when you were working 4 hours a day, that was kind of your defined.
4 hours a week, my friend.
Now, Jackie, how are we going to get there? Crap. Yeah, 4 hours a week. Sorry.
Don't worry. I'll make time to come to your office next week and I'll consult on all these things.
Okay.
It'll be so great. I love it.
You'll be so jazzed, right? So that's good. So it's first of all figuring out, all right, what do you want to give? And then I like some of the tools we use is batching, is putting some of those brain type functions together instead of spreading meetings everywhere. It's kind of stick them in these big containers. In the place that your brain would feel most fresh for that activity. And we talk about this with professionals too, like tax review. If you're reviewing tax returns, that's a certain kind of brain function. It's a certain kind of depth to your mind. But when they spread it around and scatter it, it really becomes draining and you start dreading these things. So I think you were talking about batching, right? You pulled it all together in one area.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, you described it way better than me, but that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, we learned that from the who wrote the 4-Hour Workweek?
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss. So yeah, he's got some great, of course, he's got a million YouTube videos, but we show a batching one to some of our team to help them really know how to plan their calendar. But let me ask you this. So it sounds like if you plan a calendar, you're the kind of committed person that's going to do it, right? If you hit a calendar block, you're going to do it. Some of the entrepreneurs we work with, these firm owners, they're like, I don't feel like it. And they're blowing.
I know. I've had that too. It's tough. I actually put that in my book. It was like a kind of a joke. I've had accountants that are like, oh, I don't want to be conformed to that time. And then I'm like, dash the hippie accountant. It's like, I mean, come on, y'all. We got to put some structure to this.
Well, that's the thing. They're like, I don't want something telling me, what I can and can't do. But
it's you. You're telling yourself. So you don't want to control you?
See, that's the funny thing. I was just about to say, Julie, my partner who taught me these things, she's like, you're the one who made the plan.
Right.
Why are you? Because she brought a lot of these methodologies when I was just off the freaking rails running our firm and Thrival. And she's like, Jason, these are your goals. These are the ones you're telling me that you're trying to achieve. So when you hit a block, it's one you want.
Exactly.
So a lot of times she'll tell me, she's like, stop playing against yourself. That's her phrase. Mm-hmm. Don't play against yourself. Don't do the things that break down the very thing you say that you want. And in blocking calendars, I think a lot of people really do push against something that's actually what they really want to achieve. But what they don't want is to do what it takes to achieve that thing. That's what they want to give up on. They have the dream of achieving it, not doing the work to achieve the thing maybe.
Yeah, I have a close relative that is an alcoholic, and honestly, workaholism and this resistance to time blocking and whatnot, I mean, there's so many similarities between it because the alcoholic doesn't want to be controlled by it, but they are, of course, being controlled by it. And that's exactly what a workaholic is doing, and that's exactly what we're doing in the profession.
So we're basically working poorly to prove the fact that we need to work all the time, right? So sometimes if we go, I don't know, well, maybe older generations, it's a badge of honor. I work 70, 80 hours a week during tax season, and we know that's foolish. And we actually know a lot of people you can hire now will not do that. They just won't do it. So it's not like you can hire into that. So you have to have a better way to do it. And a lot of that is the efficiency and the waste that's going into just ignoring how to block calendars. And basically, I like to call it, it's planning some future you want to walk into a future you created. And you probably know this, but I tell people there is way more control you have over your future than you think you do. You actually get to define and decide a lot of that.
It's limitless. I can't believe I'm almost 41 and I just figured out that it's limitless. I mean, imagine what we could have done if we knew this in our 20s.
Oh, God, we wasted a lot of time.
Yeah, it was like total waste.
It was a total waste. So, yeah, this is now when we're learning this. So, okay, well, just a few more questions. So, I know you kind of talked about why did you get your doctorate? So the why.
For fun. I remember I went to the residency, which was a week in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And the professors are asking, these 150 people in this class, why are you here? And I hear, I need this for my HR job, or I need this for this job or whatever. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm nothing like any of these people.
They're going to come to you. You're next.
Yeah. Like, what's wrong with me? And then I just said, I want to be a better leader. I want to be able to advise others on better leadership. Honestly, I still don't even know the true definition of leadership, just like anybody else, because there isn't a good one. But I've written hundreds of thousands of words about it at this point. So I probably have some knowledge that other people don't.
Jackie, you're so honest. It's like, I've got a book on leadership and a doctorate, and who knows what that topic's about.
I have no idea what it is.
That's hilarious. But it's probably true. You probably do know a lot about leadership. So the doctorate is in leadership. It's a PhD in leadership. Is that how you say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called a DSL, so doctorate in strategic leadership, instead of a PhD, which would be a doctorate in philosophy, so to speak.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Makes sense. God, that's so cool. So how do you now fit all of this into your family? Like, do you have boundaries? It's like this, we're going to do this on Saturday nights. Like, what are some of those things with family?
Yeah, that's the other piece of this equation is boundaries. So one of my favorite books is Dr. Henry Cloud's Boundaries. We have the worst boundaries in our profession. We're taught to let people walk all over us. And it doesn't have to be like that. People can actually respect you. Imagine that, So yeah, really if you want to make sure that you've got that personal balance, you actually don't start with the number of hours you want to work. You start with the number of hours that you want to take off. Right?
Well, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to book that out. All of next year, I've already booked out time off. We're a year ahead on my calendar and we'll back into it. It might not come out exactly as it is, but as entrepreneurs or firm owners, no one's going to block that for you except yourself. You need to do it or else it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Well, and I think I hear people say that because we block our calendar a year in advance too. And they're like, how can you do that? And it's like, well, we're not saying we're going to predict the future, but we are going to be strategic and courageous enough to decide what that future is going to be. And it's not going to work out that way, but at least we've seen what we wanted it to be and we can move things around more effectively by saying our yeses and nos inside of a calendar that's been pre-planned already. And you're right. We're the ones that have to do it. Nobody's going to make us do that. So
yeah. And I mean, that's kind of where I saw the writing on the wall last fall. I had this new strategic advisor, Dave, who was just giving me some coaching and consulting advice for the business. And I'm like, wait a minute, I want to graduate in August 2024 with my doctorate. I want to write a book. How am I going to fit this all in with all these responsibilities that I had in Tax Plan IQ? And the solution was to hire him in as a CEO. I focused Monday, Wednesday, Fridays on writing my book and finishing my doctorate. And then I time blocked in everything else on my Tuesday, Thursdays. So I just got my Monday, Wednesday, Fridays back. And I'm like, what am I going to do with all this extra time? I'm excited.
Well, you're going to go swimming.
Yeah. Sure.
That's what you're going to do. Go swimming. Very cool. Well, cool. Well, Dr. Jackie Meyer, this was really cool and enlightening I know we hit a lot of different topics. Is there a place you'd want people to go mainly online to find out what you write or do or Tax Plan IQ?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. So Jackie.cpa, you can kind of see what all I have going on. I also run a Facebook group called Accounting Firm Influencers, and we've got about 8,000 people there talking day to day. So I'd love to interact there. I really appreciate being on this. I know that I just met you the first time about 2 years ago, and I felt like we were instantly best friends. Yeah. And those are the best people. Like, you're just the kindest person. I appreciate it.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I think you're doing some amazing things. I'm excited to see Tax Plan IQ blow up and now knowing your mind and thought behind all these strategies, and you're probably going to push it to some major heights, which is really cool.
See.
Yeah, cool. All right. Thanks, Jackie, for coming on the show.
Thank you.